Good morning, peeps. I'm on a roll today. Yes, welcome to my channel. First time you're passing through, and yeah, like, subscribe, share with your friends, and interact with my subscribers. I was listening to Infinite Waters this morning, and I felt really inspired by what he was saying, and a lot of things that happen around us we take for granted. And often when I'm doing my videos, I'm always thinking, how can I be a part of the solution? What can I do to facilitate change? How can I make a difference? And every morning I ask myself that question, and I never really have an answer. I think to myself, well, I'm just one person. What can I do? I'm a female. Who's going to listen? Stuff like that. And as each day passes and my subscribers increase, even though I've been told that my subscribers and my viewers are being messed around with, to me it doesn't really matter. As far as I'm concerned, who gets to hear this information are those who get to hear it. If somebody's messing around with my figures, or messing around with my subscribers, or messing around with my viewers, to me, that doesn't really matter. Even if it's just 100, even I am of the belief that even if it's just 10 or 20 people that watch my videos, those are the people it is meant to reach. And so I'm not really concerned whether or not I have 1 million subscribers or 1 million views. That doesn't really, that's not my thing. What my thing is about getting a message out to people who really need it. And so today, what was key in what Infinite Waters said was that we shouldn't get the protesters mixed up with the rioters. And I thought that was very, very interesting, because apparently rioters have been planted with peaceful protesters to create alarm, to give an excuse for martial law, to give an excuse for the military to come in. It's a plant. And we have people out there who think that because you're all in one group, you all have the same agenda. But that is not the case. Like I said, we do have peaceful protesters, and we have people in there who are looting and people are jumping on the bandwagon. But you always have the instigators. And that's what we have to be aware of. And what happens is, when you're working off your emotions, you're not being rational. You're not thinking logical. You're just going with the flow and going with the fora. When you really have to ask yourself, when you turn around and see somebody looting or whatever they're doing, rioting in the shops and smashing up windows and smashing up buildings, you have to ask yourself, why are they doing that? We're supposed to be protesting on the injustice of George Floyd. Why would you go and smash up a building or break windows? Who's doing that? Look at who's doing it. I mean, I heard, I don't know how true it is, that George Soros actually paid a protester. No, not a protester, a rioter. So we don't know who is doing what for what reason. And I don't know how true that statement is. But the fact of the matter is, people who are going out for a good cause, when you see a set of people that are doing something that is not in harmony with your intention, you move. You leave the scene, because you need to be conscious enough to think, hang on a minute, what's going on here? This is not what we signed up for. This is not what we agreed for. And when you see buildings burning and people breaking into shops and stealing and stuff, you have to stand up for what you believe in, your core values, and say, look, this isn't us, and leave them to get on with it. They'll probably still bear your name because they have to get a few black heads in there. that they can feature on the news and say, look, this is what they're doing. But you need to leave. This was not your agenda. You are a peaceful protester. Don't get mixed up with the rioters, which is a totally different thing. And I never really thought about separating the two. Because when we see the military in America abusing peaceful protesters, you're kind of thinking, why is that happening? It's happening because it's been set up to appear that they are keeping the peace, even though the whole situation may have been contrived to cause that reaction. And sometimes I think to myself, it's so sad that people are like robots, that people don't stop and think, that they don't check themselves, that they don't check what's going on. They're angry, they're frustrated, they want a change. And so when they see other people doing stuff, they don't question it. They don't think, oh, why are they doing that? They probably think, well, rather them than me, I'm not going to do that. But if they want to do it, let them get on with it. But they wouldn't stop to think, well, why are they doing it? How is that going to reflect on me, who just wants to protest, who just wants to stand up for injustice? How is their behaviour going to impact me? Because I'm here. I'm among the group. They're not going to say, oh, that one is rioting and those are protesting. They're going to lump you all under the same umbrella. And the same way I saw a video where they carted off, there was a group of 4, 3 black men and 1 white man. They carted off the 3 black men and left the 1 white man. So the fact of the matter is, you have to ask yourself, what are you doing there when things go wrong? When things aren't going according to plan? You need to leave and not get caught up in this situation that could very well be contrived. The protest is not contrived. The protest is valid. But when it starts getting out of hand and you start seeing all those flames, and you have to remember, like Infinite Waters reminded us, a lot of those buildings will be insured. And who will be claiming that insurance? So yeah, they'll burn down. So they kill 2 birds with 1 stone. They get rid of a lot of rambunctious people, and they get paid for the buildings that they're destroying. And often it's their own people who are destroying them. It's like when they were talking about, you remember Grenfell Tower? And they were saying that a insurance policy was taken out, I think, a week or so before the fire. So you have to kind of think to yourself, you can't believe that it can be that calculating. Because a lot of us, we are so trusting, and we actually would like to believe that we live in a fair and just world. So when you hear about, people talking about insurance policies, you're like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. You don't know what you're talking about. But when it comes out in black and white, you have to kind of ask yourself, is this possible that somebody would deliberately try to antagonize the situation by planting people in a protest to cause disruption? You have to ask yourself that question. I'm asking myself that question because I'm thinking to myself, before I heard that, I thought I wouldn't have made that distinction. I really wouldn't have done. I would have lumped them all into the same boat, and I would say, well, it's protesters who are rioting. That's how I would think. I wouldn't think that they had a separate category of protesters and a separate category of rioters. Anyway, I'm not going to be long. Yeah, I don't know quite what the solution is, even though I'd like to have a solution. I do believe that the peaceful protesters any time if they are still protesting that they should leave and leave the rioters to it. If people want to add their names, if the media and the military want to jump on it, I mean, at least if you are not part of it and you take yourself out of it, the military and the police will be jumping on their own people, and that is not the plan. That is not the plan. So if you extract yourself from that situation, you leave the people who are visibly on camera to face the charges, and they are the ones who should be booked and imprisoned. And if they are their own people, we'll have to see what the outcome is. We'll have to see whether or not they are brutalized. We'll have to see whether or not they are imprisoned. We'll have to see whether or not their faces are sprawled across our television screens. So we are all programmed to react in a certain way to a certain set of circumstances. George Floyd has created a certain reaction in the majority of us. So if that happens, I mean, I think for America, it was just the straw that broke the camel's back. So it is bound for them, especially when they thought that the police officers who did the crime was going to get off, to go out and protest. But I think that the fact that, you know, things have changed. He is now, I believe, criminal charges have been brought against him. But the protests are still continuing, maybe because it wasn't, I don't know. I don't even want to speculate. But I just want the noise to stop. I just want people to be conscious about what they're doing and be aware of what they are a part of. Are they a part of what they initially intended to be a part of? Or have they been somehow been drawn into a situation that they don't even realize that they're in? As Infinite Water says, it's a setup for those people to be drawn in and carted off. So I just wrote a few notes here. We don't want to be a part of the problem. We want to be a part of the solution. How do we become a part of the solution? We deprogram ourselves. We deprogram ourselves from what we've been taught in school. We deprogram ourselves by what we've been taught in church. If you went to church, if you've from all your educators and your influences, you deprogram yourself from all of those teachings and relearn based on your own proactive research. And ask yourself what makes sense from what doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense, question it. A lot of what we're going through doesn't make sense. And yet we just kind of blow it off and think to ourselves, oh, well, you actually take it on yourself and you think there's something wrong with you a lot of times. And because a lot of times, a lot of us are not kind of educated to a higher academic level, we actually doubt our intelligence. And so when something doesn't make sense, and then you hear somebody on the TV or on the radio or whatever form they're on, saying things in such an eloquent way, we actually doubt ourselves. But we mustn't doubt ourselves. Just because you're not academic doesn't mean you're not intelligent. So when you're questioning things, question it and research it, and don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt yourself because you haven't got letters after your name. So, yes, so you need to detach yourself from all the old education and all your influences, the TV, the radio, the newspapers, magazines, and social media. Be careful about what you watch. You've got videos out there that are designed to pull you in, designed to agitate you. I saw one with this man on it, and he was talking about what the plans are for the USA, what they've got planned for black people. this white big guy, you know, and not to, it's hard not to be biased, but I ask myself, why are you telling us that? Why are you stoking the fire? Why are you telling us that this is what they have planned for you? It's like, you know, the guy that wrote that book about what they planned to do to black people, put them all in these concentration camps, and it all came out, it was well timed, and they put it on people's seats and made it seem as though it was a real situation. And yes, some people may have jumped on the bandwagon and made it real. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of stuff is put out there to infiltrate our minds and to make us feel as though white people are against us. Not all white people are against us. It's a minority. And you have to try to understand that and believe that not all white people are the enemy. Yes, you've got some who have been miseducated. You've got some who are not going to support you and build you up. And you've got some through their own ignorance, don't even know what to do. The same way we all don't know what to do at certain times. But we cannot listen to these negative videos that are turning our heads and making us believe that everybody is against us. We cannot do that, because that is a part of the plan. It's a part of what they want us to feel, them against us, and it is not the truth. We have to believe in our own judgment. We have to believe in the people that we know. We have to believe in the white people that we know. My next door neighbours are white. They don't have to knock on my door and ask me how I'm doing. They don't have to go to the shop and say, Myrna, do you want anything? Do you need anything? They don't have to do that. They don't have to take my bin from where it is when we put it out to be collected, and put it in my little the place where they're supposed to, the place where they're stored then. They don't have to do that. They don't have to come over and weed my garden. They don't have to fix my tap. And when I say to them, what's the damage? Oh no, don't worry about it. Just give me a glass of rum, or give me one of your special cakes. They don't have to do that. These are decent white people. So don't get caught up in these videos, and these people are trying to turn us against them, trying to cause division, trying to cause segregation. Don't get caught up in it. So, and don't be lazy. You need to have emotional detachment. This is the way I'm thinking how we can solve it. Emotional detachment will allow you to be rational. It will allow you to be a critical thinker. Anything that is good for us is made inconvenient. It's time consuming. It requires energy, or it doesn't taste good. So we have to kind of deprogram ourselves. So we don't want comfort. We don't need convenience. We don't need all of those things that make us a slave to what we love. I hate food without salt. I hate food without sugar. The thought of me trying to eat something bland is horrific. But I've got to try at least. I've got to. I don't know when I'm going to start, but I'm going to try. But that's what I mean. That programming on our taste buds. That programming when you want to watch something, you want to buy something and you can't be bothered to go through this, and you just press a button, you just click buy now. Turn on the station, click, click, click. Everything is for convenience, and it's deliberately so. And until we step back and think, okay, what am I becoming to want everything so convenient? What am I becoming to want everything that tastes great? that, you know, why do I need to look great all the time? I had this thing where, when I put my wigs on, yes, I know I look much more attractive. Well, I feel I look much more attractive with my wigs than I don't with my wigs. I've reached a point where I'm thinking, this is me. Rather than when I put my wigs on, I'm not going to say I'm never going to wear my wigs, but I just think to myself, sometimes when I put my wigs on, my head is itching, they get in my way, there's hair here, I have to take them off, I get hot, and I'm just like, why are you putting yourself through all of that? And it's sometimes, well, I guess with my hair so short, I can't even say it's less time consuming to stick on a wig, but I like the new images, and sometimes, I do like to look different. But what I'm trying to say is that everything is designed for convenience and for our ease. And so when we get caught up in all of that, we don't stop to think. Or we're thinking about, how do we get a quick fix? How do we do things what is the most easiest way and quickest way to get what we want? And because of that, we are not looking after ourselves. We're not looking after our loved ones. We're not looking after our family. We're not looking after the wider community because we want quick fixes. So we just need to step back a little bit. Okay, so we are addicted to comfort, addicted to sweet food and salty food, addicted to convenience. We need to become more conscious, and that means being mindful what we do, what we agree to, what we put our body through. And the thing is, when I talk about agree to, we just click those cookies and, because we just want to get onto what we want to watch. And, when we have these things on when we're watching, whether it's a newspaper article, whatever it is, every bloody minute, little box comes up, tick, before you can actually take it a step further. Especially me when I'm trying to get news. Every little thing I'm having to tick, agree. And of course, I'm not looking at what I'm agreeing to. I could be agreeing to goodness knows what. And that is what I'm talking about. I'm talking to you and telling you what you should be doing. I'm not doing it. I'm just as bad because I'm thinking to myself, I can't be bothered to read all of these stacks and stacks of information that's telling me what the terms and conditions are every time I want to read a bloody newspaper or a news article or medical research. And so we have to be more accountable for ourselves. We have to be more responsible about what we agree to and what we do. And even if it means slowing down. So when I'm talking about be more conscious and mindful about what you agree to, and that's what I'm talking about. When you're agreeing to ticking these things, automatically, we have to be mindful about what we're putting into our body. We have to be mindful and conscious about what we listen to. We have to be conscious and mindful about how we behave and how we react. We have to be conscious and mindful about how we perceive others. Why are we perceiving people in that way? Why are we stereotyping? Why are we jumping to conclusions? Why are we making assumptions? We need to question and ask ourselves and get the answers from ourselves. And most importantly, we have to kind of understand how we perceive ourselves. Who do we think we are? And are we who we want to be? And that's all for now. Bye-bye.